Well, hello. It's Sunday afternoon here in Melbourne, Australia. It's 1:22. Hello and welcome back to my channel. There's been so much happen, and I've now finished the show. I had a huge sleep-in today. I haven't done very much. I've been studying. I've got exams studying next week. I thought we'd just have a talk about this settlement. So this is what was reported from Katie Joy. And of course, we've seen Uni Rocks and people saying that she's won. We've seen that she's saying she's won. Hello, Queen of Sheba, Canaan of Chorus, the Chaos, Christine Laver, and Suzanne. It's so great to see you all. So this is it. Without a Crystal Ball settles with Todd Chrisley. My company, Without a Crystal Ball, and I have reached a settlement in our lawsuits with Todd Chrisley, settling all parties' claims. No liability was admitted by either side or adjudicated. As a result of that settlement, I will not be speaking publicly about Mr. Chrisley, his companies, or his family. Mr. Chrisley has agreed to the same terms with regard to me, my company, and my family. Thank you. Now, first of all, my first thought is she's sort of talking as if Chrisley wants to have a daily conversation about her. Well, no, he's not. If you remember, he only started talking about her because she was talking about him. Second of all, she's small fry in the landscape of stuff. You've got, Katie Joy down here and you've got Chrisley up here. So seriously, there's probably a bigger picture at stake here. We all knew that he wanted to find out who this secret source was. A bit like the Colonel's secret herbs and spices. And we know that history has told us that Katie Joy has no problem throwing her sources under the bus. We saw that with the Westbrook case. So I thought we'd have a look and see what the law talks about settlement and who's won. It is my opinion that Chrisley has won. Because it means that because she can't mention him, it means that anything that happens that's big news, she can't mention. It could be something that's really big and YouTubers are going on and making heaps of money on it, and she won't be able to do anything. So a settlement is an agreement that ends a dispute and results in the voluntary dismissal of any litigation. Regardless of the exact terms, parties often choose to keep their settlement agreements private. Now, we know she has sort of told us that her settlement agreement is that neither party is going to speak about each other, and it sounds like they've walked away with bearing each other's costs. Now, although officially, if we go to, hello, Angela, if we go to the official court file, I'm doing all right. We still have everything in motion. What actually needs to happen is there needs to be a notice of dismissal filed. So until that notice of dismissal is filed and it's put on the court record and the court acknowledges that settlement exists, the case is still live. Between now and the official paperwork, because, yes, it's got to go through the court. And it has to be signed off because the court has already put all of these dates in motion. You just can't say, hey, we've settled, end of story. It's got to go through a whole procedure. So it's got to get signed off by the court. So until it's signed off by the court. Hello, Liz. Hello, Play to Create. Uni and these cronies are making it sound like they know what the settlement is. Well, she told us what the settlement is. They can't talk about each other. And if you actually look, she's removed all her everything about Chrisley has gone. Her tweets, Instagram, videos have gone. He deleted all the podcasts with her name in it. So they've deleted. Yeah, it's standard. However, However, this is where I think she's sold herself short. And I can only go by the friendly Geordies. Oh, well, and Chrisley hasn't stated that there was a settlement. No, you're right, Suzanne. There's been nothing official. It's come from her. So I'd be interested to see what he says. But as I said, according to the file, it's all still live. I can only look at what happened with friendly Geordies. If you remember, John Barilaro, he was the Deputy Premier of New South Wales, sued friendly Geordies for defamation. Friendly Geordies has over 500,000 subscribers, bigger channel than Katie Joy. He got a top defamation lawyer, one of the best defamation lawyers in the country, to represent him. He settled. He had to do an apology via the court and put music over the main defamatory parts of his video. And he just happened to put Mario music, which was one of the allegations, that he was describing this politician as Luigi or Mario. He never actually had to remove anything. He just had to do these slightly little edits, and he can still talk about him in the context of the job that he had. That is a settlement. That is a win. It means that anything that he does, and then, of course, we've had the whole saga with the Jobs for the Boys and the America's position. That, to me, is a settlement. For Katie Joy not to be able to mention Chrisley's name, she stopped herself. She sold herself short, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. But you look at how somebody, when you have a defamation specialist working in your corner, as I said, Friendly Geordie's got the top defamation. And I remember because the defamation laws in Australia changed in July 2021. And I remember even in the court, Friendly Geordie's lawyers talking about the changes that were happening. And the judge says, he goes, Dr. Collins, of course, you have more knowledge on this as I do, as you were instrumental in these changes. And Dr. Collins replies, well, thank you, Your Honour, for pointing that out. It was like he was part of the changes. So he knew what was, So one of the interesting things that I saw is, we know, but the thing is, she actually had, when she first was with Tardy, she had Aaron Hall as her lawyer. Now, he did a whole variety of articles. I don't know whether you know this. So oh, yes, she does. So actually, she would have been better having him represent her. But this was defamation public. Why Ventura sued and won. And so this was, he won a defamation lawsuit, remember, Jesse Ventura, over a book. Now, remember, defamation cases against a public figure requires 4 elements. And the fourth is actually, this is the US I'm talking about. So one of the things, and I know, hello, Bo, I do think, though, that Chrisley's case was fairly weak as far as, but I reckon he could have done malice because there was lots of malice. But he had to be able to prove that a false and defamatory statement was made about him, communication of that statement to a third party, tendency to harm the public figure's reputation in the community. I reckon he would have had trouble with that one as far as Katie Joy's concerned, because she's a smaller YouTube. 7M, however, can actually do that because she bragged about the fact that there was their reputation was ruining and the defendant acted with actual malice. So these were the 4 things that he had to claim. And so often when it looks like that the case is going to go. And remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm only learning. I'm only a law student. And this is just all of my opinion based on what I'm reading, what I can see, is that often if either side has a weak case, they will try and settle it. Now, remember, she hadn't produced a lot of the discovery documents to Chrisley's lawyer, if you remember rightly, that she had a date. So either she couldn't produce the documents, or her lawyer said, we're going to lose this, we need to settle. So the burden is on the public figure to prove each of these elements. So Chrisley would have to prove each of those elements. I think 7M has had the strongest case of everybody. To prove actual malice, the public figure must prove by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant knew the statement were false or acted in reckless disregard of whether they were true or false. That is, the defendant entertained serious doubts as to the truth of his publication. And so public figure defamation is similar to unjust enrichment, but defamation relates to the public figure's damages. Unjust enrichment relates to defendant's benefit. We don't have this in Australia. We're actually going to see with Lachlan Murdoch suing the Crikey media. We're going to see, we're seeing some of this. The reputation element is actually going to be very hard for Lachlan Murdoch to prove. But anyway, so yeah, so that was what Chrisley had to prove. And this is from Aaron Hall, remember? Her first attorney, her business attorney wrote that. So just to reiterate, there's been no update on the court file since the 26th of August, 2022. A dismissal of notice to so what would have to be notice of dismissal with prejudice would have to be filed, or without prejudice. So with prejudice means they can't come up again. Without prejudice means it can come up again. I would be asking for notice for dismissal without prejudice, because that means that if she was to say the same thing again, I could go for it. Again, that's just me. So that is where we're at. A settlement generally benefits both parties. Generally benefit, and it saves the court lots of time, lots of money, saves lots of money. So in case you needed to know what defamation was, so this is from the Legal Information Institute. This is from the Cornell Law School. This is one of the references that we use, that I use as a uni student. So in case you don't know, defamation is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel and slander. So libel is written, slander is spoken. It's interesting because in Australia, we've combined those two and it's just defamation. So in parts of the US, you can sue for libel and you can sue for slander. In Australia, you just sue for defamation. So defamation is a tricky area of law, as the lines between statement and opinion versus fact can be vague, and defamation tests the limits of the First Amendment freedom of speech and press. That's in the US. In Australia, we don't have our constitution, we don't have that in our constitution. So, yeah. So that's where we are. But no, I wouldn't say she's won. As I said, it's my opinion that she shot herself in the foot. Now, she came in and then said that it was to protect her son. But I don't actually recall anything about him mentioned. I mean, I never mentioned her by name, never mentioned her son by name. But she did accuse him of doing all the swatting. But then she's accused 7M of doing all of that. She accused the Westbrooks of doing all of that. She accused the people she took the ROs of doing all of that. She's accused Nat of doing all of that. you can't keep accusing the same people of doing the same things, because at some point in time, your train's going to run out of steam. So I'm interested to see. She'll always say, of course, she's always going to say she's won. There will come a time. I mean, this Chrisley appeal, if it's proven that the feds did actually lie under oath, it's going to be big story. Everybody likes, it'll be everybody likes it when the feds can be shown to be wrong. And and remember, she said that he couldn't pay his legal fees. Well, he's been able to continue his lawsuit. So, it's quite interesting. But if she said that she did it for her son, wouldn't she be wanting to be able to speak on any story? Like not put herself in the Duggar corner? Wouldn't you be able to? And as I said, the fact she had to take down all her videos and all her tweets and all her Instagram postings about him, I wouldn't say it's a win. Friendly Geordie's won, in my opinion. As I said, all these videos are still up there. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, search Friendly Geordies and or Braz. Just put Braz in YouTube search engine and you'll get and you'll see. He outlines his whole defamation proceedings there, and I've got a whole playlist on that myself, because it was interesting, because Google ended up having to pay $700,000 and Google backed him all the way. Had to pay compensation. But so I would say that's a win. If you can come out of a court settlement being able to talk about the person, I think that's a win. And as I said, you only had to make some slight edits. If the Duggars ever sue, she'll have nothing to talk about. Well, that's right, because if the Duggar stories are quickly running out. She's now, I know today was a big story about the was it Abby wearing the Abby's and the new baby having white? I thought she had sources, because she doesn't talk about how big the baby was or anything like that. Yeah, I just don't know. It just seems really weird. So I'm going to keep my eye on we have to just keep our eye on the court. I'm just going to show you again. I know it's like Sunday, but I'm just going to show you the court record, because I mean, there's an old saying, until it's official, until you see it officially, you don't believe it. So we've still got listing of upcoming hearings. We've only got a notice of order and entry of judgment. Remember, we had proposed orders. She did a dismissal with prejudice on the, so we had, all of this motion to, and so there's nothing in there to say discontinuance, that we want to file a discontinuance. Discontinuance means that, or in the case of what happens in Australia, that there's a mediation order. But if you remember at the last hearing, the judge did say they had to go to mediation. She was saying they had to mediate. So it would be more likely that it wasn't because she wanted to settle. It was because they were told that they needed to have a conversation. But yeah, that's where it is. That's what, and so look, generally it's, it's something that's mutually benefit. She wants to say she's protecting her family, but Todd Chrisley got what he wanted, I guess. So, and there's been nothing on the 7M case either. We do have a motion hearing on the 21st. Motion hearing on the 21st of November for 7M, and the default hearing on the 21st of November. That's the same thing, which is interesting because she hasn't filed her documents and she hasn't filed a defense. I did say at the time that if I was 7M, I'd put in a summary judgment, because she's never defended 7M. So very, very interesting indeed. So, as I said, I'd be interested to see what all your thoughts are on this and what you think. As I said, I'd be interested. So she can't talk about the Westbrooks. Of course, she wants to sell in her eyes. She wins if she sells as a yeah, but she's still incurred a heap of fees. The easiest way to do it is to not defame anybody. There's people that've been on YouTube for years and never had a defamation. I mean, for, Friendly Geordies did cause some of his own issues with that, and I'm sure that he'd admit that. But the way he handled it, I wouldn't. Wasn't the way that I would normally handle it, but he handled it the way that he thought he should, rightly or wrongly. As I said, well, generally you could say it is a win because you don't have the court action. But when you can't speak about a person when they do something, is that really a win? The fact that she can't talk about him again, is that a win? What if, as I said, a great big story breaks about the Chrisleys and everybody's jumping on it and making thousands of dollars, and she's got to guess, and she's got to sit on her hands and not be able to mention it. Now, if she was to stick with fact and just report, she may be able to get away with it because she could say it was a public interest. But she would have to be very careful, and I don't know that she would necessarily get away with it. I've seen people say that she could. She can't keep facts apart from her opinion. The suits aren't frivolous to those who take them out against them. Well, that's right. She always said that they were frivolous. But nobody ever meant, the fact is she's saying that she's done it to protect her son. I just find that to be, you can't bring out your son as a shield every time you get yourself into trouble. As I said, 7M, she's got a bigger job. And yeah, she's talking about Robert Shin. Yeah, she's still talking about Robert Shin. Well, it'll be interesting to see whether she can keep quiet. Because there's people saying that they don't think she can. So it'll be very interesting to see whether she can keep quiet. And if it's done with prejudice, it will also mean she can't ever accuse him of swatting her again and everything. But that was just all badly stuff anyway. So all right. Well, that's about all I wanted to say. Well, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And look, I will, and I guess I'll catch up with you again later. Yeah, we'll just follow this again. But look, will she make it before the official documentations? Here's a question for you. Do you think that she'll make it before the official documentations filed? Because if she speaks about him before they file the motion, it could be all bets are off. So that's where we are. But anyway, as I said, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.